Welcome back to the Flight Deck Student Pilots. I'm your flight instructor, and for today's explainer, we are going to master one of the most fundamental, but honestly pretty dynamically complex maneuvers you're going to execute up there. We are talking about the descending turn. Look, getting this right, it's not just about passing a check ride, it's about building that deep muscle memory and absolute situational awareness you need to fly safely, especially when you're setting up for an approach to land. So buckle up, get your head in the game, and let's get started. Picture this. You're standing on the ground, watching an aircraft bank overhead. When we enter a descending turn, we are essentially taking on a multi-dimensional juggling act. We're asking the airplane to change its heading while at the exact same time losing altitude in a completely controlled, predictable way. You're not just turning a steering wheel in the sky. You're actively managing this really delicate balance of aerodynamics. Literally every tiny input you make to your bank angle immediately messes with your lift, your drag, and your descent rate. It's a real balancing act.
All right, here's our pre-flight briefing outline for today. We'll kick things off with the physics of the descent, then jump into executing the clean turn. After that, we'll cover turning with flaps extended, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with an airmanship and safety debrief.
Okay, Section 1, Physics of the Descent. Before we even think about touching the yoke, we really need to understand the forces we're playing with. So it all comes down to your descent performance variables. Basically, these are the three levers you have to control your flight path. Number one is your configuration. Are your flaps up or down? We always set that first. Number two is your attitude, and this controls your airspeed. And number three is your power, which dictates your rate of descent. I want you to burn this into your memory right now. We set the configuration, we control our airspeed with our pitch attitude, and we manage how fast we're dropping out of the sky, our rate of descent, with our throttle power.
Imagine you're in the left seat, looking straight out over the glare shield. Pay attention to how the position of the nose changes relative to the horizon across different pitch attitudes. That nose attitude is literally everything. As you pitch the nose up or down, you are directly dictating how fast you're going. In a descent, the goal is to lock in a rock-steady airspeed, which means you have to find that exact sight picture over the dashboard and just hold it right there.
Which brings us to the golden rules of turning. You will recite these in your sleep by the time I'm done with you. Ready? Bank with your ailerons. Maintain aerodynamic balance with your rudder. Keep that slip/skid ball perfectly centered. Hold your airspeed with your elevator. And finally, control your rate of descent with power. If you realize you're flying too fast, don't go pulling the throttle, raise the nose. Do not mix these up. Trust your controls to do their very specific jobs. Now that we've got the theory locked in, let's move to Section 2. Executing the clean turn step by step. And just as a quick reminder, clean just means our flaps are fully up. Think of this as your roadmap in the sky. Our goal is to change heading while keeping airspeed and power constant. Notice how the first phase requires us to be fully established in a straight, powered descent first. We never, ever rush into a maneuver. We get our descent speed dialed in, trim the aircraft so we aren't fighting the yoke, and absolutely crucial here, we look outside for traffic. Keep your head on a swivel. Only when we're stabilized and the airspace is clear do we even think about entering the turn. Let's break down the exact inputs. Step 1, the entry. Roll the aircraft to a maximum of 30 degrees of bank using your ailerons. Feed in some rudder to stay balanced. Now, as you roll, the nose is going to want to drop, so you have to apply a little back pressure on the yoke to keep your airspeed steady. Step 2, maintaining. Hold that bank angle, keep the rudder balanced, and lock your eyes on the nose to hold that airspeed. Step 3, rolling out. You've got to anticipate your new heading by roughly 1/3 of your bank angle. Level the wings, keep it balanced, and adjust that nose right back to your straight descent picture.
Here's a fascinating bit of physics for you. Anytime you turn, you are basically stealing vertical lift and pointing it sideways. Because of that, the steeper you bank in a descending turn, the greater the attitude change you need just to maintain your airspeed. And what does that mean? It means you're going to descend a lot faster, unless you add power. Physics always demands a trade-off, no way around it. So what happens if things aren't looking quite right? Say your descent path is too shallow, or you actually want to steepen it. You just reduce your power and lower the nose a tiny bit to keep your airspeed right where it needs to be. On the flip side, if you need to flatten out your path and slow your descent rate, you add power and raise the nose slightly. Always go back to the golden rules. Power controls the descent rate, attitude controls the speed.
All right, moving right along to Section 3, turning with flaps extended. This is advanced airmanship, folks, because this is the exact configuration you'll be in when you are setting up to land the airplane.
When we drop those flaps on the trailing edge of the wings, two massive things happen. First, it drastically increases our lift. Second, it drastically increases our drag. Now that extra drag is actually great because it steepens our descent path, helping us get down to a runway over obstacles. But all that extra lift? That means we have to completely adjust how we fly the plane.
Let's put these two configurations side by side. In a clean turn, you've got your normal nose attitude and your standard stall speed. But when you extend those flaps, it's a whole different ballgame. The flaps let us generate the required lift at a much lower airspeed, which effectively lowers our stall speed. But honestly, the best part for you sitting in the pilot's seat, it requires a much lower nose attitude to maintain that same airspeed. That gives you a significantly better view straight ahead to see the runway.
Take a look at the actual view out the window. Compare the sight picture over the dashboard here. Over on the left is your clean descent. Now look at the right with full flaps extended. See how much lower the nose is sitting relative to the horizon? When you're turning from base to final, having that nose pushed down is exactly what lets you keep the runway threshold right in your line of sight.
Now, dropping flaps while turning requires solid technique. If you extend them before you turn, you'll need to lower the nose slightly to hold your airspeed, and then retrim. If you drop them during the turn, which happens a lot, you have to actively hold your bank angle while momentarily relaxing back pressure on the yoke to let the nose drop into its new attitude. And heads up, depending on what you're flying, dropping flaps can cause a really strong pitching moment, either nose down or nose up. Remember the golden rule of aviation: fly the airplane, do not let it fly you.
All right, we've successfully navigated the maneuvers. Now let's head back into the briefing room for Section 4, our airmanship and safety debrief.
Okay, pop quiz time. Just making sure you were actually paying attention to those golden rules earlier. Lock in your answer in your head before I give it away. Airspeed in a descent is maintained with what control input? Take a second. Got it?
The answer is attitude, specifically controlled by your elevator. If your airspeed is wandering all over the place, your nose is in the wrong place. Pushing or pulling the yoke to change the pitch of the aircraft relative to the horizon is your primary, direct control for airspeed. Print that out, frame it, never forget it.
This right here, this is your office. And it perfectly summarizes your workload. During a final approach, you are simultaneously watching your attitude indicator, tracking your airspeed, checking RPMs, verifying flaps, and making sure that slip/skid ball is dead center. A good pilot keeps a really active, continuous scan across all these instruments while still spending most of their time looking outside the window. It's a lot, but you'll get there. To make sure we actually make it back to the ground in one piece, we have some hard limitations for these maneuvers. Number 1, absolutely do not exceed a 30-degree bank angle in the traffic pattern. It's totally unnecessary and honestly just dangerous. Number 2, always roll out of your descending turns at least 500 feet above ground level. Give yourself that safety cushion. Number 3, constantly scan for traffic. And number 4, during the turn, absolutely do not let the nose drop on its own. You are the pilot in command.
I want to leave you with a crucial piece of airmanship wisdom, pulled right from the flight manuals. Listen to this. Treat the lowering of flaps as a commitment to land. When your hand reaches for that flap lever, it's a psychological shift. You are deciding to land, and you're now using drag and lift to deliberately modify your approach path so you safely meet the runway. It's serious business.
So here is a final, slightly provocative thought to chew on before you climb back into the left seat. When you enter your very next approach to land, will you be ahead of the aircraft, anticipating the physics, the trim changes, the exact attitude you need, or will the aircraft be ahead of you, forcing you to play a stressful game of catch-up all the way down to the runway? That's entirely up to you. Thanks for joining me for today's explainer lesson. Master these rules, study hard, and I will see you up in the skies.